Project 1, Simple Text-Based Question Answering Bot. Welcome back. In this project, we are building our first LangChain application, a simple text-based question answering bot. This bot will answer questions based on a static piece of text that we provide. Now, what is question answering? Question answering, or QA, is one of the most practical uses of language models. With QA, we can create applications that search through text and provide relevant answers based on the user's question. For example, if you have a paragraph about LangChain, the bot could answer questions like what is LangChain or what does LangChain help with? Real world applications of QA. QA systems are used in many industries, from customer support to educational tools. By asking natural language questions, users can get specific answers without needing to read through entire documents. How it works? In this project, we'll use a language model that can analyze a piece of text, find relevant information, and provide an answer. We'll implement this using LangChain, and we'll walk through each part step by step. With that understanding, let's move on to building the bot itself. First, we'll need to set up a static text passage for the bot to use as a knowledge base. So, building a bot to answer questions from a static text passage. First, creating a static text passage. For our bot to answer questions, it needs a piece of text to refer to. Let's create a short passage that explains what LangChain is. I've created a file called as simple text based question answering bot.py just for simplicity to understand, but you can name it whatever you want. And here is an example of a simple passage we can use. You can type it directly into your code, which you can say knowledge base equal to, given 3 quotes here, ending 3 quotes. LangChain is a framework for building applications with language models. It helps in creating chatbots, question answering systems, and much more. LangChain supports various model integrations and is great for handling both simple and complex NLP tasks. Our next step is to setting up the language models. Now that we have our knowledge base, let's set up the question answering model. We'll be using a pre-trained model from Hugging Face called as Distilbert Base Cased Distilled Squad, which is well suited for QA tasks. Add the following lines to load the model and create a QA pipeline. So first, I'm going to say from transformers import pipeline, and then I'm going to say load a question answering pipeline here. And I'm going to say QA pipeline equal to pipeline, and inside my first one is question answering, and my second parameter is model name, which is Distilbert Base Cased Distilled Squad. You can search this on Hugging Face and you'll find it, and you can read more about it because it has comprehensive documentation about it, so you can start from there. But this is what I'm going to use. Now, next step is creating a function to answer questions. Now next, let's create a function that takes a question as input, passes it to our model along with the knowledge base, and returns the answer. Here's how to implement it in code. First, I'm going to create a function called as answer question. This function takes 2 arguments. One is a question, the question the user asks, and the second one is the context, which is the text passage we are using to find answers. It returns the answer and score. So first it takes the response inside QA pipeline, question equal to question and context equal to context. Next, I'm going to say answer equal to response from this, whatever the answer is, and then score equal to response, whatever the score in that particular response is. And then I'm going to say return this answer and score. So this function returns the answer and score, which is the confidence level of the answer. Next, let's go ahead and now let's test this function. We ask a question such as what is LangChain and print the result out. Answer comma confidence from this particular function will be returned back here. Print question and then print the answer along with confidence. When you run this, the bot should respond with an answer based on the content in the knowledge base. Next step, let me explain you the confidence score. The score here, which we are displaying here, the score or the confidence score represents how certain the model is about its answer. This can be helpful in applications where you might want to show the user only high confidence responses, because sometimes the machine is not that confident and it might say the confidence level is pretty low, like it says confidence level is 50%, then you don't want to show it. Sometimes in more complicated applications, like let's say medical applications, you want to have a confidence score of 90%. In this particular case, I don't care even if the confidence is 20%. It is not going to affect the user when they ask the question, what is LangChain? So let's go ahead and run this particular project. So I'm going to go ahead and open my terminal. I see this file here. I'm in the right folder. So first I'm going to create the environment, python minus mvn qa bot underscore env. Next, to activate it, I'll say source qa bot underscore env slash bin slash activate. Now I can directly run this or install the TensorFlow and all those things that I need, but just to show you the errors, I'm going to say python simple, and it will say no module found transformers because we installed in a different environment in the first section. So I'm going to say pip install transformers. So if you create an environment, you have to install all those things again one more time just so that this works. Let me clear this out and run it again just to show the next error. And it will say that you need install PyTorch. So at least one TensorFlow or PyTorch is required. So I'm going to say pip install tf keras. Let's see if we have everything that we need. I'm going to clear it out, run the code again. So it took some time, but it gave me this message here. It says all PyTorch model weights were used when initializing TF Distilbert for question answering, and it gave me a bunch of different warnings here. Not warnings, but information here. And then finally, it says the question that you asked was, what is LangChain? Because that's what I'm printing out here. And then the answer is a framework for building applications with language models, confidence of 0.70. And that's what I was displaying here. So it gave me the question and the answer. So I hope you were able to do this. If you had any other errors, let me know and I can get back to you. But with the bot functional, let's move on to adding a simple user interface so we can interact with it more naturally. Exploring LangChain's basic components. Overview of LangChain's components used. In this bot, we used a few important components that LangChain provides to make it easy to build NLP applications. Let's go over these components briefly to understand what they do and how they fit into our project. First, the pipeline component. The pipeline is a core component from Hugging Face that LangChain leverages for tasks like question answering, summarization, and more. It allows us to set up models with minimal code and handles a lot of the complex processing behind the scenes. QA pipeline. The QA underscore pipeline we used is configured specifically for question answering. By passing in a question and context, it searches for relevant information with the context and returns the best possible answer. Here is where we used it, the QA pipeline, and this is the pipeline. Now this is foundation of question answering applications, making it easier to deploy solutions that respond based on provided text. Then we had knowledge base. Although LangChain provides advanced way to handle larger datasets, in this project we used a simple string as our knowledge base to keep things straightforward. In future projects, we'll see how LangChain can work with multiple passages or even documents, but now this single passage demonstrates how we can start with simple data. Creating modular functions. By creating modular functions like answer question, we make the code more usable and flexible. This function could be used in larger applications or adapted to accept different passages in the future. Now that we have explained the basics of LangChain components, let's set up a simple text interface to make our bot more user friendly. Adding a simple text based interface. To make the bot interactive, let's create a simple loop where users can type questions and receive answers. Let's go and set up this code. I'm going to go ahead here, get rid of this question answering first. So I have question answer printing, so I'm going to remove that. And in place of that, I'm going to create a function, call it main. Inside this, I'm going to give a message to the user, welcome to a simple question answering bot. Next, I'm going to write that loop while true, question equal to input. Input lets user enter an input, ask a question, or type exit to quit. And I'm going to say if question dot lower equal to exit, I'm checking if the user entered exit. Then I'm going to say print goodbye, and then break out of this this loop. Or else I'll say answer comma confidence. I'm going to call this answer question function and pass the question that user provided in this input. And finally, I'm going to print that answer and the confidence level. Next, I'm going to run this main loop right here. So it's going to run this function and go through it again, over and over again. So once again, to explain the loop, this loop allows the user to keep asking questions until they type the text exit. It can be uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter because I'm converting it into lower here. For each question, it calls the answer question function and prints the answer with a confidence score. Next step is actually testing the interface. Now let's run the script and try to ask different questions based on the knowledge base that we have. The bot should respond based on the information in the knowledge base passage right over here. So I'm going to save this file, open my terminal and say python, whatever the name is, .py. It's going to take a few seconds and it's going to ask me, welcome to simple question answering bot. Ask a question or type exit. Now, based on the knowledge base that we have here, I'm going to ask question like, what is LangChain? It's going to say a framework for building applications with language models. Confidence is 0.75, which is pretty good. You ask a question or type exit. So I'm going to say, what can LangChain used for? Building applications with language models, because it says can be used for building applications. What does LangChain help with? It says creating chatbots, question answering systems with a confidence of 0.24. So that says right here, chatbots, question answering. And then it says support various models. So I'm going to say, what does LangChain support? Various model integrations. That's what it says, and it's great for handling. So I'm going to say, what does LangChain handle? Simple and complex NLP tasks. That's what it mentioned. Perfect. So it works. And what if I want to exit out of this loop? Just type exit and it says goodbye, because this is what we printed out here. So congratulations, you just built your first LangChain based application, a simple question answering bot. In the next lesson, we'll expand on this project to explore more advanced functionality of LangChain.